Well, good morning, everyone. Hello, this is Jamal Jones, the purpose driven therapist, and I help therapists in private practice take inspired action with more clarity, confidence, and courage, empowering you to have a greater impact in the lives of your clients while at the same time increasing your income so that you can avoid burnout. This week, I had the honor of being a client spotlight of a beloved colleague of mine, Alante Collier, and it's caused me to think about something that we all struggle with as therapists in private practice. You have all this training and background, you are highly skilled, you have certifications, and you know that when you show up for your clients and you engage them and you lead them down a path of healing and growth and success, it is transformative for that life and it impacts generations. So here's a question for you to ask yourself as a therapist in private practice. Taking all things into consideration when you look at your clinical work, your marketing, your advertising, your documentation, your networking, whether or not you have a brick or mortar office space or you work remote from home, you have all these different responsibilities that's tied to you as an entrepreneur and small business owner. One of the main challenges that we face as entrepreneurs and small business owners is that you are multi-passionate and you are gifted in so many different areas. And what that does is sometimes it causes you to remain stuck in that DIY mindset, that do-it-yourself attitude. And when you're a small business owner, entrepreneur, that can be counterproductive and in many ways destructive. And so I want to encourage you to think about, when is it best for you to actually outsource and invest and trust certain responsibilities to other trained professionals? Because if you're a mental health care provider, your clients need you to show up for them. And you need time to, outside of sessions, to also document and to also consult with other colleagues and to work on the business. And sometimes working on the business looks different. Say, for example, when you're going through next week, I'm going to be going through a emotional focused therapy training. That's going to take 4 days next week, where I'll be growing as a marriage counselor and becoming more skilled and competent in emotional focused therapy. That's an example of working on the business because I'm working on myself and I want to become more effective in marriage counseling. Well, in doing that, I'm not going to be having those one-to-one sessions. So the point is, when you take all these things into consideration, including your taxes and bookkeeping, your website development, when do you do it yourself and when do you outsource? Well, one rule of thumb is to stay within your zone of genius. And you are a professional service provider. So anything and everything that has to do with you providing services to your individuals, to your couples, to your groups, or to your business-to-business partnerships, you want to provide those services at the highest level of excellence. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you are strategic and intentional about outsourcing certain responsibilities. For example, website development. One of my favorite people in our industry is a woman named Becky DeGrossa, based out of Colorado. Becky DeGrossa is a mental health care, multi-passionate entrepreneur, actually. She once had her own private practice. She has a tech background, and Becky DeGrossa combined her tech background with her therapeutic background, and she formed Counseling Wise. And Counseling Wise is a company that's dedicated to helping therapists and coaches build excellent websites. That's one example of, she's in the industry, she has a niche, and it'd be wise to outsource your website to someone like that or someone similar. When I met with Alante, she really helped me outsource a lot of the administrative tasks that's tied to being a therapist and a coach, which allows me to show up differently with more energy and focus when I'm doing things like this presentation here. Another thing that can be outsourced is any and all administrative task, which comes to ask a question: is there value in investing in a virtual assistant or a remote executive assistant? And this is something that we struggle with as mental health care providers in private practice, because obviously to make these investments, you're putting money out. And you might ask yourself, well, if I decide to invest in a virtual assistant or a remote executive assistant, like, am I going to see return on investment? The answer is, when you do it strategically and you onboard that administrative person the right way, and you empower them and you entrust to them responsibilities that they are better off doing than you are, they are now freeing you up to generate more income for your business. One of my favorite leaders, favorite companies that I have the privilege of working with is a company by the name of Dream Support. Dream Support was founded by Team Foster. Micah Foster, I know the husband more than I know his wonderful wife. But if you're in need of a remote executive assistant, I highly, strongly encourage you to reach out to someone like Dream Support. What's beautiful about Dream Support is this is a company where they specialize in providing high-level, excellent remote executive assistants. And I partnered with Dream Support last year in 2023. And I absolutely love my executive assistant. She is a partner with me in business, and she really does relieve so much stress. She takes responsibility. There's times where she's actually leading and directing me to help me stay on track and stay focused on the things that we both agree are the main priorities for both my clinical practice and coaching business. And so the encouragement here is, I know that when you're in small business, especially if you're starting out, and you want to be a good steward and you don't want to waste resources, you don't want to just throw money out there. And at the same time, you want to be cognizant and aware of, you need to be intentional about outsourcing to the right people at the right time. So one place would be like Becky DeGrossa for website development. Another would be Micah Foster and the team over at Dream Support. And one last example would be taxes and bookkeeping. As a therapist in private practice, you are high when it comes to relationships. You have a high capacity when it comes to connecting with people and serving people. Now, some of you are gifted when it comes to math and Excel sheets and working with things like QuickBooks. And if that's in your zone of genius to do your books and track your taxes, then more power to you. But if you're like me, that would be very stressful. It'd be strenuous to have to cover all those numbers and details. And so Green Oak Accounting, Julie Aris, is an excellent resource based out of Virginia. They actually specialize in helping therapists in private practice. And of course, you can get not only a tax professional for your taxes, but also a bookkeeper. Now, the power of bookkeeping is, when you're a small business, you might consider at some point in time getting a business loan. Or, for example, during the pandemic, when all that was going on, because I had a bookkeeper who kept my books pristine and up to date, I was actually fortunate to be able to apply for a PPP loan, and actually won the loan, and that infused cash into the business at that time. So don't sleep on those important tasks like bookkeeping and tracking your taxes. Because remember, as an entrepreneur, you are now responsible for paying your taxes every quarter or on an annual basis. When you were a W-2 employee, that wasn't the case. So anyway, I hope this is helpful for those of you listening. If it is, feel free to share it with a friend or two. Again, I'm Jamal Jones. I am a growth coach for therapists in private practice. I help therapists just like you take inspired action with more clarity, confidence, and courage, empowering you to have a greater impact in the lives of your clients, while at the same time increasing your income so that you can avoid burnout. Let's go. Be encouraged.